Hello, my name is John Kelleher, Councillor John Kelleher of the Labour Party, and I'm a candidate representing the Labour Party in the North East Ward in the City Council elections on June the 5th.
Hi, my name is Stephen Crowley and I'm the Green Party candidate for the Cork South East Ward.
My name is Chris O'Leary. I'm an independent city councillor on Cork City Council for the South East Ward, and this is the heartland of my constituency.
My name is Dave Keating. I'm the candidate for the Socialist Party in the Cork North East Ward of Cork City Council.
My name is Darragh Murphy. I'm a Fine Gael candidate for the North East Ward of Cork City Council.
Well, I was about 9 or 10 years of age when I got my first bike. We lived down near Glanmire. I remember my mother, who always cycled during her life, until she was about 8 years of age. She bought me the bike. It was a rally bike, I think, and I have a photograph of it at home. And I got my first bike when I was about 9 or 10, and then we used to cycle to school and cycle to church and cycle to the shop and so on, because we had no car, so we had to use the bikes an awful lot.
My grandfather, who was a mechanic, used to give me a spin on his bike. I used to sit on the crossbar, and he taught me how to cycle. And I've been a cyclist for a long number of years. I suppose cycling is something that I've always done, even as a secondary school child, going to school from Ballyfihan into the centre of town, up as far as Wellington Road, which is where I went to school. So I've cycled the city when it was quieter, as in comparison of today's volume of traffic on the road.
I think I got my first proper bike when I was 10. It was a mountain bike from Raleigh Cycles, actually. We used to cycle that everywhere, to and from friends' houses and so on, and that was my first bike.
I got my first bike when I was about 14. My brother came back from a cycling tour of Europe. He had cycled for about 3,000 miles, put the bike against the railings, gave it to me and said he never wanted to see a bike again. He was absolutely fed up with cycling. So I got my first bike, state-of-the-art, Falcon, 5-speed racer, absolutely thrilled with myself.
I think after my first three-wheel bike, I think it was a Triumph bike, was the first bike I had, and it was my father who taught me how to ride it after a few pushes at home in Glanmire.
At the moment, I cycle on and off in the city. I would cycle as a leisure as opposed to my everyday job, because I work on the far side of the city, and it's not always easy for me to get back and forth from work.
I cycle to and from the constituency office in Douglas Street quite regularly when I'm going in to check up on post and other such things and keeping up to date with constituents. I also cycle in and out to my friends' houses in town who live in apartment blocks because of the fact that I can't find parking with the car. And I cycle to and from college when the college is in term. So I do cycle a lot.
The advantage of canvassing by bike is that more people see you driving along in the car. You're just another car on the road. But cycling around here in Mayfield and meeting people and being seen by people is actually beneficial to a politician to be seen. And I hope that I'm giving good example to everybody. When they see me on a bicycle, they might say, "Why is he doing that?" And they might say, "Yeah, using a bike. Why not? Why not use a bike here?" Even though we have a lot of hills in Mayfield, but we have some flat roads as well.
It also enhances the lifestyle, people's healthy options. Cycling has a lot of positives, not just for adults but for children. I think it's important that we foster the opportunities for children to grow up with cycling being the option, as opposed to be continuously dropped at this and dropped at that.
In the city are that there is no pollution, there is less traffic, there is no problems with parking, and it's a cheap and efficient mode of transport for everybody. When there's no CO2 produced, that means that you're helping in the fight against climate change. Climate change is happening and is something that everybody should be worried about. The
improvement in the city in recent times has been the cycle lanes, and cycle lanes have made it more attractive for people to cycle in around, we say, the suburbs and in particular into the city.
We as politicians have a big responsibility to try to make the roads safer for cyclists, to make more cycle lanes, to reduce the speed of traffic, and that is something that we've discussed constantly in the City Hall with our traffic engineers over many years. and then we can cut down on traffic, cut down on pollution, cut down on traffic jams, cut down on delays, because otherwise we'll have gridlock on all our roads for many years to come.
Well, I suppose one of the main problems we have, particularly in my side of the city, is the roads are very old and they're very narrow, and we haven't got the width available to us to sort of put in proper cycle lanes. So what we need to do is encourage people to park legally in the first instance, and to be aware in so much as possible that there will be people cycling in and that there are people cycling into the city centre. So good road manners, I suppose, is crucial, and it's something that's often overlooked when we talk about cycling and cycle lanes.
Cyclists need to be protected, and their right-of-way needs always to be protected. It should be pedestrians and then cyclists given right-of-way, as opposed to cars and heavy traffic. We should divert traffic out of the city and make it more friendlier for cyclists to utilise the city centre.
At the moment, cycle lanes are shared by taxis and by buses, and that's a lunatic situation. It's as if a bus wouldn't kill a cyclist, it's just not on. So should be cycle lanes, there should be cycleways. It would be a fantastic thing, for instance, if young children had cycleways from their homes into the schools. It would really encourage children to get up on the bikes again and go to school with a push bike.
Ultimately, I think it's along the rivers we have to focus on putting in nice recreational cycleways for people, that people can cycle with their families, with small children, away from cars. I suppose there are two different types of cycling we must focus on: people who are commuting and using cycling as commuting, but I think in the short term, where the council has been most successful is in trying to develop areas where people can cycle for recreational uses. And again, in large part, that's been on the south side of the city, and as a north side councillor, I'd be hoping that we can find areas which we can develop for that type of recreational cycling on the north side of the city as well.
We are talking about plans like the mobility plan that Cork City Council at the moment is rolling out, excuse the pun, but is rolling out towards meeting targets over the next number of years. And that would be, further green routes, making it a lot more attractive with cycle parking facilities.
When you're developing a new area and you're planning the roads and transport means for that area, there should be provisions for cyclists. For example, in this area, the docklands are going to be built, and in this area there should be proper cycling provisions like cycle lanes, so people who work here can cycle to and from work, and there's proper provisions made for cyclists.
Well, cycling is probably going to get to be more and more significant as we move forward. Obviously, the difficulty with fuel and oil and petrol will mean that more and more people will have to use their own power source, which obviously would be with the bike. And I think it's something that is becoming more and more discussed, particularly at the Roads Functional Committee inside in Cork City Council. There's a very active Cork cycling group which comes in and lobbies us. So I think we have to, in all our new projects, new roadways, any new developments, particularly down in the Docklands, which is behind me here over my left shoulder, which will be one of the biggest projects in the whole country over the next 20 years. We have to make sure that we put in place proper cycle routes, cycle bays, and that we're very aware that cycling for the next century will be one of the main modes of transport, maybe as it was 40 or 50 years ago.
We have a lot of work to do. Provide more cycle lanes, make the roads safer, and encourage all people to use their bicycles. It's very, very difficult for cyclists to compete with 40-ton trucks and speeding traffic when they're trying to go to work or go to school around the streets. So that's the big challenge facing us, and we have a lot of work to do in that regard here in Cork City. And I hope that the City Council, engineers, officials and politicians can work together to try to make the city a better and a safer and a more environmentally friendly place for cyclists in the years to come.